If you're watching me for a while now, especially my shorts video that has study or art study titles, it's just me learning different things from a reference image. It can be like the lighting of it, the pose, or just because I got inspired from it. So, in this video, I'm gonna be sharing how I use references for my artworks, how I combine multiple references to create a finished illustration. So let's start. Here's an artwork that I did using only one reference image, and I wanted to try out the lighting on the characters, so this was the reference image that I chose. And recently I've been using multiple references to make a more original looking piece like this one. On this artwork I used multiple references like these. Like this one is for the overall theme of the character, and this one is for the pose of the character. If you're wondering what is the program I use to organize these references, it's called Milanote. Thanks to Milanote for sponsoring this video. I'm already using Milanote before they sponsored me, so I can show you some of my favorite features in using Milanote. Milanote is a tool for organizing your creative projects. So in this board that I created, I compiled all the reference and the vibe of the images that I'm going for in this artwork. Like this one is for the background of the character because I wanted to be like dreamy and warm, and I chose this pose for to kind of show that she chilling and she just calm and peaceful vibes. The butterfly on the 3D model head is the main theme that I'm going for in this artwork, so it's there, and I added additional images to set up the mood for the overall piece. It's so easy to use Milanote when compiling and organizing your ideas visually for your creative projects because you can literally just drag and drop images from anywhere, which is my favorite, like this. Then after that, you can just put it on your board and organize it depending on your liking. I like to collect inspiration from various places on the web using the Milanote web clipper. This makes saving images and links directly to my boards from any website super quick and easy. I also added a subboard of the lighting draft sketches that I created, so I can choose what lighting looks more believable without getting distracted by the images that I added on the main board. I also use Milanote on actually most of my creative projects, like when I do thumbnail testing to see what looks clickable. You can also store notes or to-do lists to keep track of your progress, images, even videos. Having everything you need in one place that is so easy to customize is a game changer because I used to like save multiple reference images one by one and then adding and organizing each of it to Ibispaintx. It was a kind of a hassle, but here you just have to you just gotta navigate it where you organize it. Now once I have all the images that I need, I can just move them around on my board and view them all together instead of juggling between image files just to find a specific reference. If you're unsure of what to create on your board, Milanote offers a variety of templates that you can choose from mood board to creative brief, project plan, storyboard, weekly plan, and much more. Also, you can name any board you want and customize it with different icons that you like to make your boards more aesthetically pleasing. You can choose whatever color you want and even an image icon that you like if that's what you like. Inviting collaborators on your board will make it easy for you to get a real-time feedback. It can be your friends or even with clients if you do art commissions. Collaborators on your board will give you easier and swift access to important feedback. Milanote is seriously a game changer for me because of how it made my creative process more efficient, and if you like to try it, you can sign up and try it out for free with no time limit using the link in my description to start your next creative projects. Thanks again to Milanote for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the video. Alright, so I always try to get the shapes of the reference image that I'm using, and what I mean by shapes is like this. I simplify it with big blocks of shape to easily guide me to create the sketch. I don't trace it when I'm doing a study, but here's a visual representation to show you how I imagine it in my head. It's also okay if you try to trace it first, then replicate it without tracing, of course, if you're a complete beginner. This point shows me where to stop and add another shape so I can't get overwhelmed by too many shapes. Sometimes I also do the usual circle stuff, and if you're used to that and you find it more effective in your creative process, you can also go with that. This is just my personal method and another way of using reference. When I reference, I also try to get the silhouette of the character. Then I can visualize how I will work my way up from big blocks to small details. I know it's hard to not zoom in too much on your canvas, especially if you're using a smaller device. But if you can, try not to zoom in too much so you can see the overall look of your artwork. If you're using a smaller device, you can use the navigator of your art program, if it has one, to see the whole shebang, or try to sketch it on paper and then scan it and extract the line drawing of it. Then you can do the line art later. Also, remember that it doesn't need to be one-to-one with the reference. Like, you don't need to draw the exact same thing, especially if you're doing stylized. And I also utilize the empty spaces of the reference to make it more believable or accurately close to the reference image. So now with the silhouette stuff, this is kind of like the vice versa of silhouette, where you try to simplify and create simple shapes from the empty spaces to guide you on how you will reference the image. After you use the guide where you silhouette or try to use the empty spaces of the reference, you will then have this believable looking shape that you can work with. You can see here that it starts to form more in your head, or it gets easier for you to create the sketch and work your way up when you simplify it by using different simple shapes. You can see after I shaded the empty spaces, you can see how believable the pose of the character already looks. So after you got that kind of like silhouette shapes, it will be easier for you to have an idea on how you would want to finish the piece, because you already have the simplified shapes in your canvas. Looks ugly and messy at first, but I kind of get the idea of how I would want it to look like, so I'll just fix the sketch that fits to my liking. Once I start to polish the sketch, I personally don't look back and forth on the reference that much, because I used to like draw without any reference at all before. So after I get the guidelines from the reference, I just polish it on how I would want it to look like in my head, then get back to looking at it for the lighting and the colors when I do art study or practice using reference. If you start from the eye to like the whole shebang, it's okay too. Whatever works for you, you can go with that, because all of us has our own way of doing things. So now let's jump into using multiple reference image. It's like I showed earlier, I gather different images that fits to the vibe or the mood that I'm going for, then search for poses, and if I want to have a background, I also search for it too. I learned it from Mino Tuna that having a visual images that you can see can make you feel less overwhelmed when there's too much idea in your head that you're trying to create. And I genuinely love Milano for that. The only thing is that sometimes it takes me more time like finding references than actually drawing, so sometimes I don't use any and just create straight from my imagination. For this artwork, the vibe that I'm going for is calm, warm, and comforting vibes, so I put everything on this board to have a visual reference to work with, so I can get the idea of how I would want it to look like. I also did the same process when I use single reference image for the post, then I add the background and other stuff that I want on the overall piece. The clouds was so relaxing to paint, and if you're wondering what's the brush that I use for it, it's Pen Fade and Fade Watercolor Opaque. All of my brushes are on my Instagram highlights, and you can scan the QR code of all the brushes after screenshotting it, and if it got blurry, try sharpening the image. I'll try to post a new QR code brushes on my community post as well here on my channel. So if you don't have an Instagram, I'll just try to also create new brush QR codes, and I'll post it on the community on here on YouTube. Since I don't have a reference image for the lighting that I'm going for in this artwork, I did a black and white lighting drafts here based on what I think looks more fitting. So this was my first choice, but I figured sunset is like the sun is going down and the lighting here is like at the top of her head, as if she was getting interrogated by the police or something. And the second choice was this one because the lighting seems more believable, and for this one I created this for like backlighting, shing shing. But I don't know, I was thinking like it lacks some contrast, so I didn't go with it. At first I was like, maybe it still have a good contrast, but it was just me gaslighting myself, because I know that if I proceed with this one, it would be fast and easy because I can just slap multiply layer on top of the base colors, but my guardian angel smacked me in the head and said don't be lazy and that I can do better.
It's Jason! Jason, look! This isn't you, okay? This isn't the you that we all know and love, Jason. You're better than this.
So yeah, here's the finished artwork, and I hope you learned something on this video. thank you for watching, and subscribe if you haven't. Turn on notification bell, and I will see you on my next one. Bye.